Hello, Dolphin families. Welcome to another edition of Bedtime Stories with Mrs. Moodry. And this week we have a special guest star, Stevie the Sloth here. And your child will recognize Stevie from some of our morning meeting videos. Each morning here at Village View, we have a video welcome from me, and sometimes Stevie makes an appearance. And Stevie is here to enjoy our story this week with us. And October is Bully Prevention Month. And for the last few bedtime stories, we've been spending time understanding that everyone's brain works a little bit differently, and that's okay. And in this week's story, we are going to meet a boy named Nick, whose brain always wants things to be neat. But something's going to come along, and Nick will have to decide if he can make room for one thing that's not neat. So let's jump into this week's bedtime story, Neat Nick's Big Mess. Neat Nick's Big Mess, written and illustrated by Chad Otis. Now, Dolphins, before we dive into this book, it's important to know that the word neat is another word for being tidy or clean or organized. And you can see here we've got Nick, the little boy, and then we've got something behind him that looks to be a big mess. I wonder what's going to happen in this book. Nick is neat. Very, very neat. In fact, he just might be the neatest kid ever. I know my kids' rooms don't look like this in our house. Nick was neat right from the start, and he got neater and neater. Some say Nick is too neat, but he can't help it. If something is messy, he has to fix it. There are lots of messy things Nick can't fix, though, like other people's crooked buttons, those "what in the world is that" smells, and big, germy spray sneezes, achoo, noisy, all at once talking, blah, 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 and out of nowhere, super loud laughter. Those things make Nick's insides feel messy. They make him want to be on his own, where if something bothers him, he can fix it and feel better, at least for a little while, until he starts to feel a little too alone. Knock, knock. But today, Nick's parents have brought home a surprise. Oh my goodness, look at this. Look at this big dog. He's got leaves all over him. I see he's got his hair's all over the place. But one thing I do notice over by his eyes is that this dog is in love with Nick. This surprise isn't scheduled. Sniff, sniff, sniff. This is a big mess. Ugh, I have to fix it. For the rest of the day, Nick scrubs and scours. He cleans, clips, and combs. Then, when everything feels just right, Nick clicks off the light and goes to sleep, right on schedule. In the morning, things are a big mess with squishy snuggles and sticky slobbers. Look, when he woke up, the dog is in the bed with Nick. Nick cleans up again and stays on schedule, at least until all the touching, tussling, and loud talking. Hello, good morning. Can I pet your dog? So cute. It's all so messy that Nick feels like going home right away. But things get messier and messier, and Nick doesn't think things could possibly get any messier. But they do. Oh no, what does the dog see? Oh, he sees a squirrel, and then he goes chasing after the squirrel and drags Nick along with him. They get wet and crowded, loud and muddy, screechy and barking messy. Nick can't fix this. He can't make it neat. He wants things back the way they were. Look, it looks like Nick is giving the leash back to his mom. And I think he's saying, I don't think I can deal with this big mess. After all, he's just fine on his own, where he can clean and comb, tidy, tuck, and sort until everything is where it belongs. But something still doesn't feel quite right. Something is not where it belongs. Oh, look, Nick found the ball, and then he realizes something. What a big mess! Oh, he has to fix it right away. He searches the house and checks the garage. He looks everywhere. What do you think he's looking for? Until finally, he found him. Everything really is where it belongs, and things feel just right. You see, Nick has decided that it's okay if things get a little messy sometimes, because there's nothing neater than love. And that, Dolphin families, is Neat Nick's Big Mess. You know, there are people I love in my life that have some of the same feelings as Nick. Sometimes places can be too loud, or crowds can be too big, or smells can be too strong. And that's okay. It's important to share with your family or your teacher so that they can help you out. But you just might find that under the right circumstances, you can put those feelings aside for something that you love, just like Nick did with his dog. So, thanks for joining me this week, Dolphin families, and we'll see you next week for another bedtime story with Mrs. Moodry. Bye-bye.